Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Bienvenidos. Welcome. So excited to be here with you all. As you are coming in, please tell us where you're coming in from, what industry you're in, and what are you looking forward to the most in today's presentation. I will give a few minutes to allow you to come in, to settle in, welcome yourself. Hello, hello. Bienvenidos. Happy Friday. What a beautiful day it is today. We are celebrating las Días de las Madres. So felicidades. Happy Mother's Day to all you beautiful mothers that are here today and everyone here. Also, today we're going to have such a powerful discussion on mental health. So we're so excited to be here, and we're going to have a special guest with us today as well. But please come on in, tell us where you're from, what industry you're in, what are you looking forward to. I see that we have a few coming in. Tell us where you're from. So it's so exciting to be here. Around this time last year, we launched this series with Latina Mental Health Week with Latina professionals. And so we're excited that this year we get to bring on this series again. All right, let's give it. Hello, hello, welcome, bienvenidos. Tell us where you're from. Where are you tuning in from? Your industry. I see we have some folks from San Diego, from California. I myself am based in Los Angeles, California. So hello to those in the West Coast. Wondering if anyone here is from the East Coast or even out of the state. Hello, hello from the Bay Area. Thank you for being here. Awesome. So welcome to Latina Professionals Mental Health Week. We're excited to kick off this beautiful series of workshops that we're going to be providing to you throughout this month. If, as you may or may not know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's also Maternal Mental Health Month. So what a beautiful way to bring awareness to both, and being that today is Mother's Day, right? We also get to celebrate you as well. Latina professionals and the National Steering Committee have come together to bring to you weekly workshops, all related to our mental health. Why is it important? We're going to have presentations on how to manage anxiety as a Latina professional, how to reauthorize your story and your narrative. We're also going to have a segment on motherhood, specifically surrounding mental health. So many good stuff. So why don't we get started? So today, again, we are kicking off Latina Mental Health Week, although we're dedicating this week, right? Mental health is important every day of our lives, 365 days a year. And so today we're going to focus on bringing awareness to mental health, specifically surrounding our Latina community, as well as how are we breaking the cycle? How are we breaking generational cycles? How are we healing? And how are we doing this in community? Welcome to those that are joining in. Yes, happy Mother's Day a todas las madres. So who am I, right? I know I've been kind of talking already. And so my name is Norma Garcia. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, breakup coach, and intuitive healer. I'm so honored to be here. Last year, I had the opportunity to kick off the Latina Mental Health series. So I'm excited to be here again and continue raising awareness on mental health. It's one of my passions. And over the last 10 years, I have devoted my time in providing mental health and crisis intervention to BIPOC and Latinx communities. My approach is holistic, culturally sensitive, trauma-informed. I love empowering Latinas, women of color, to heal and thrive and reach their fullest potential. And again, my mission is to be able to advocate and educate on all things mental health, breaking generational cycle, and creating bigger impact. So in today's presentation, we are going to have one of our amazing National Steering Committee join us today as a guest. She is going to give us such insight in terms of like how she herself has navigated, mental health and her involvement in terms of this movement. So let me invite Gabriela to come in with us so she can introduce herself and tell us more about who she is. Let's welcome Gabriela. Yay!
Hello, buenos días or buenas tardes. Hello. Happy Mother's Day. Feliz Día de las Madres. I'm Gabriela Perez and collaborating here and working with Norma, who's amazing. And thank you so much for allowing me to be part of such an amazing topic that most of us don't know about until we have to go through it. I'm Gabriela. I'm a Latina Professionals National Steering mental health member. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I am a mother of 4 children. I am actually now going to have a teenager as of tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting within itself. What I do professionally, I'm a statewide director of human resources and talent management. There, I definitely promote a culture of learning, leadership, collaboration, inclusion, and respect. I definitely believe that, opportunities are endless for those who seek them and are focused on our goals, their goals. Therefore, my biggest desire is if I could ever pay it forward and to give back to the community and be a resource and support to others that are looking to find their way in a professional scene and or have questions. It's not until we ask questions is that we develop a sense of self and progression. Nice to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabriela. We're just so happy that you're here. And for you guys to know, right, this is a collective effort, right? We are coming together as a community to create this space, this conversation together because we're not alone. And so why don't we start with just doing like a mental health check. How is everyone doing? Again, it's Friday, it's Mother's Day, it's May, we're in springtime. So using the emojis, please in the chat, tell us how you're feeling. Are you great, pretty good, doing okay? I know this morning, I woke up feeling great because I knew that I was going to be in this space with you all. Or you're having a hard time, or you need some support, this is a safe space for you guys to be able to share how it is that you're doing. And please, throughout the presentation, use a chat to ask questions, engage with each other. So let us know how you're doing. And Gabriela, how are you doing today? Where are you at today?
Today I am, let's see here. I'm in between pretty good and really great. I get to, I'm planning for a teenager's birthday party. That's where my head is right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, so all my professional things, yes, but that's like what keeps me going. It's like, it's Friday. We're going to plan this out. And that's the goal. Let's finish how we started.
Yes. All right. So I'm here in the chat seeing there's some people are doing really great, pretty good, doing okay. Some are struggling or having a hard time. And we appreciate that you're being honest in terms of like where you're at. Awareness is the first step to anything. So as long as you have that awareness for you to be able, to check in with yourself. And this is a practice that I do on a daily basis, even with like the clients I support, right? Doing a check-in every day. Like, how am I doing today? How is my body? How is my mind? What do I need for myself today, physically, emotionally, or mentally, as a way to let us know exactly what we need for ourselves. And that's what we're going to talk about more today in terms of like, how do we take care of ourselves on a day-to-day basis. Awesome. So yeah, keep on coming in. Tell us how you're feeling. Continue telling us where you're coming from. All right. Felicidades. I see that there's a new mom here. Woo! Awesome. All right. So I want to start off the conversation with what is mental health. Okay, so I love to be really interactive, so I will be prompting you all to please, participate in the chat. And so I'm curious for you guys to know, what do you guys think mental health is? What is mental health? When you hear the word mental health, what's the first word that comes to your mind, or how do you define it or describe it? Let's see. And Gabriela, you can also participate as well. We know you're going to be share more of your insight later, but feel free to also engage with us.
Of course,
So what is mental health? All right.
I can chime in.
Yeah, sure.
For me, it was trying to take care of me. What did I need? Because there was some, like, I didn't feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I began that thought process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do I need? Right? Yeah. Someone in the chat put psychological health. Absolutely. Or psychological needs, emotional health. Absolutely. Yes. So something I really want to highlight here, right, is that mental health doesn't mean that you have a problem, right? Mental health, like physical health, right, we all have. Mental health is about how we take care of ourselves. The big difference is whether it's mental, that sometimes if you don't take care of your mental health, right, it can develop into a mental health illness or condition. And that's where we see the difference in terms of, like, when professional help is probably needed. But here to just, if one thing you take away from today is that we all have mental health. We all do, right? And that's why this topic is really important to talk about in terms of how are we taking care of ourselves, okay? Over here in the chat, I see some folks putting in self-care. Absolutely. Amor propio. Love that. How do we cultivate self-love? Spirituality, emotional health, psychological well-being. Yes, it's your mind, your spirit, and your soul, right? How are you taking care of those parts of yourself? Mental health is how we think, feel, and act. Yes, beautiful. All right. So what is mental health? So and all of you guys were on it. Mental health is a psychological, right? Your mind, your cognitions, your thoughts, your emotional, your feelings, right? Your behaviors, and your social, how it is that you are interacting with others. So all these things affect how you think, how you feel, how you behave, and how you handle stress and relate to others, and how you make choices. So our mental health can really affect us in terms of our functioning, right? I believe, mental health, physical, emotional health, right? They're all integrated and they're connected, that they affect each other. All right, so mental health it's on the spectrum, okay? The way that I like to see it is in terms of its intensity, the frequency, and also whether it's impairing a functioning. When I say impairing a functioning, it means, is it making it difficult for you to do your day-to-day activities, whether it's being a mom, whether it is, going to work, going to school, showing up just for yourself. And so we have from like healthy, right, to mild, moderate, and severe, right? In the moderate to severe, that's when we get more into perhaps it being like a mental health disorder. Today, we're not going to get into all the different disorders, but I did just want to give awareness to the most common disorders that we hear, right? Anxiety, depression, PTSD, which is trauma, psychosis, grief, personality disorders, the bipolar, eating disorders. There's so many, like there's literally a huge book of what I call like the Bible of in psychology, in terms of like all the different diagnoses that we may have. And the diagnosis is just to give name to what it is that is happening in regards to your symptoms. And please, at any point, if you have any questions about anything or you want more information on a specific thing I'm talking about, please in the chat, let me know. All right. So when we talk about mental health, it's important that we also look at the facts. What do we know, right? How relevant is mental health? These statistics are focused mainly in the United States. So if anyone is out of the States, this may not pertain to you exactly, but just even just to have this information, it's so important. So overall in the US, 1 in 5 adults experience a mental health illness, right? 1 in 6 youth, right, from the ages of 6 to 17 experience a health disorder each year. So if we're thinking in this room, right, I'm not sure how many of us are in here, but let's say if there's, 30 of us in here, right? 1 in 5 of us may have experienced a mental health illness a year. So that amount, I don't know what it does for you, but that to me resonates like, wow, like this is a high prevalence, right? When we look at specifically within the Latino population, right, similarly, 1 in 5 Latinos suffer from mental illness. When we look at our Latina teenagers, 1 in 4 of them have thoughts about wanting to attempt suicide. And just so you know, suicide is the second leading cause of death among ages 10 to 14. So these are our young teens, right? This is why it's important for us as adults, right, to have these conversations, talk about mental health, check in with our kids, right? Our children, these days are really struggling with their mental health, especially coming out of the pandemic, right? A lot of social anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of high risk, behavior. So not only is this beneficial for us, but it's also for our future generations. Even getting more specific in terms of like Latina women, right? We are twice as likely to develop depression as compared to Latino men and even our counterparts, right? And this is for different reasons. It's because, either way may be overqualified at work, there's racism, the pay disparity, right? The pay gap, microaggressions, right? And then if we're employed, right, there's added stressors versus, Latinas who are not employed in terms of being a mother, right, working multiple jobs, having to caretake, for family members. So there's a lot of things that add to us being able to really take care of our mental health. And here, the last one here is that 1 in 3 Latino parents have experienced a mental health disorder at some point in their life. So numbers for you to really sit with, right, and see how mental health is all around us. All right, so just as we prioritize our physical well-being, right, we all, when we're sick, we have a cough, we have a fever, we know to go to the doctor and to get checked out, right, and get medication and whatnot. That is very normalized in our society. But when it comes to our mental, emotional health, there's so much stigma, right? There's so much that comes with it in terms of making sure that we are meeting those needs. But just as we take care of physical health, we also have to take care of our mental health. So let me take a break here and just look at the chat to see if there's any questions, comments. All right, I think we're good. All right, so next year I want to talk about the challenges that we experience in terms of culturally, but also generationally. Okay, some main concepts that I have found in the work that I do. And these are just a few things. There's a lot more things, and please expand on anything that I talk about, right? But these are cultural values, right, that we live by that affects our ability to either take care of our mental health or even to access mental health resources. Okay, so one of the main concepts of familismo, right, is that as Latinos, right, we are our extended family, right, our community, like we're all our family, right? We're attached to that nuclear extended family, and there's a belief that we resolve things within our family, right? We don't talk about what goes on in our lives outside of the family, right? We keep it within us, and it can sometimes create problems, right? If it is that we do, share our problems or anything that's going on within our family outside of the family unit, right? So this belief about this familismo that we, our support is a family, we resolve within our family, can result, right, in challenges to be able to either get the support that truly is needed or even just to be able to have these conversations. Another big one is stigma, right, that I referenced earlier, right? There's so much stigma from society, but even culturally in terms of what it means to seek mental health, or to say like you have a mental health illness, or to say that, you are struggling or having a difficulty or a problem because of the stigma, right, of that there's this fear that we're going to be labeled as locos, right? Like only, la gente loca son los únicos que van a terapia. Yo no estoy loca, but that labeling, right, is what prevents us, right, to be able to access that support. And part of this is just, raising awareness, right? Raising awareness on what mental health is, right? How it can, the benefits of it, the advantages of it. And that's a way to start breaking that stigma. Another part of it too, there's shame, right? Like there's shame to talk about, right? Our emotions, our feelings. I don't know about you all, but like for me, growing up Mexican, like we didn't talk about our emotions. Like no one talks about their emotions. We don't communicate, right? So that was embedded in me in terms of like when I would cry or when I would share my emotion, right? One, it was difficult to be vulnerable. And two, right, I was afraid to get criticized or judged, or because sometimes, especially if we think of like for men, right, showing emotions or crying is a sign of weakness. There's also these narratives that are being passed down, right, in terms of us being silenced, right? The most common one is "Caidita te ves más bonita." I'm sure you all have heard that statement, right? And that in itself, right, is a challenge that we have to go through in terms of like, wait a minute, like, ¿cómo que me voy a quedar calladita, right? There's also this idea of Marianismo, right, which is rooted in, the Catholicism, in that, as women, right, we're pure, we sacrifice, we're nurturing, we're the caretakers. And so challenges may come when it is that we try to live up to that expectation at the same time while we're also trying to take care of our own mental health. And that can be hard because we don't put ourselves first, right? We put ourselves fast. We put our family first, right? We people please, right? And so this idea can be really conflicting. And the last part here is generational trauma, right? A huge movement, a lot of research and information and talk about like generational trauma in terms of how it is that it affects us, right? And generational trauma, as I'll talk about shortly, is about, trauma that's being passed down from generations. So think of like your parents, right? They're experiencing a trauma and then they pass it down to their children. And the children may have never experienced that trauma firsthand, but because of like the belief system, the values, the behaviors, right? Those are things that are getting passed on from generation to generation. And specifically with the Latino community, right? There's a lot of layers in terms of generational trauma, especially because it's rooted in, our immigration status, right? Especially if you are undocumented or you're first gen, right? The way that generational trauma can show up, can be more impactful. Certain things that may be considered traumatic, right? Any separation from the family, poverty, war, if it is that you did migrate, from your home country, to the States, abuse, discrimination, right? And so that status can really affect us in terms of how it is that we are taking care of our mental health, or how is it that we're not, because again of the stigmas, because of the trauma. All right, any questions so far? How's everybody doing? So someone shared that, sharing our story so it ends with us. Yes. So, and we'll talk about how we have and we are already healing generational trauma in a few. But yes, it's up to us, right, to break that cycle, right, to heal from that. Maybe it wasn't ours, right, but it is our responsibility to take care of ourselves. All right. So next, we're gonna transition into moving into. So then, how do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of our mental health? How are we breaking cycles? Okay. And when I say breaking cycles, that could be generational trauma. That can be whatever cycles or learned behaviors you learn from your parents, from your grandparents. Um, and so we're gonna have Gabriela join us. She is going to share her experience in terms of how she has been taking care of herself, how she's breaking the cycle, and also provide us different ways and strategies to be able to continue healing and breaking those cycles. So, Gabriela, take it away.
Well, thank you so much. It's very important that we share our stories. Having been the oldest of two children, the only daughter of immigrant parents, literally, my mom came pregnant with me, 7 months pregnant with me,
Mm,
and having to maneuver through the language barrier, they went to school, made me so innately incredibly responsible. So from an early age, I still remember I would leave sweaters at school,
mhm,
and it was a responsibility. I'm like, I'm the oldest. I should have remembered. And that piece has transcended till now in my mid 40s. And what I needed, when I realized, like, I was literally the check off person. I have lists, I'm going to check everything off before I go to bed. But none of it had anything to do with me.
mm,
Everything had to deal with my loved ones that surrounded me.
yeah.
Having such an incredible opportunity to do the work that I do, it is statewide.
Mm,
Um, I had to find a way to find myself, right?
mm,
As I said, I was the oldest female of two children. I did everything morning through the nighttime. I now have four kids. I would do this. It was like a cycle, to the point where I'm like, I'm losing myself. I'm just going, going, going. And I'm pouring into everyone's cup before I'm pouring
mm,
into mine.
mhm,
So when that went off, because I would innately ask folks in our meetings, because we often travel, how is everyone doing? I was that one person, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not pouring back into my cup, you
mhm.
know? So I learned that I should pour into my cup first and then pour into everyone else's, right?
Ah,
Because at the end of the day, you know, I want to be a part of my children's lives and be part of this amazing organization, and I can't be to my fullest if I'm not pouring back into me. So
yeah.
what I did was, at first I was like, okay, should I see a therapist? Should I not see a therapist? Okay. Became one with nature. I started hiking, vitamin D, the sun, and I said, okay, well, I can't do do this. I sought therapy. I sought counseling. I at that point identified areas where I still needed to work on,
Mhm,
areas that lit that light bulb and was like, "Oh my gosh, that makes complete sense." Um and my circle is very small, but I find that these are people that, just like today, having this forum or having your friend or that one family member you can really talk to
mm,
definitely help me. And advocating for my four children, if something's not right, let's have a
mhm,
conversation. I want to invite that. It's not about being uncomfortable, it's about understanding where everyone is, because we're always on the go. And I think sometimes we fail to pause and
yeah,
be mindful for ourselves, that we start thinning out and not pouring back into our cup. And so I definitely encourage mindfulness,
mhm,
being in the moments, especially, I know at work is different than at home, but definitely practicing that. And that and therapy helped me out. So I hope that in this very short period of time, I'm able to have some folks understand or say, okay, I hear what she's saying. Maybe I should start pouring back into my cup.
Yeah, I love that, Gabriela. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's so important to pour into ourselves, but that can be so conflicting again because of the cultural values or expectations, what society expects from us, right? So it can be difficult, right? But we're here, to remind you all that you also matter, right? That you also need to pour into yourself so that way you can pour into others. And I love, something that I think in the chat is coming through in terms of like even just being the eldest daughter, right? Even the role that you take on as being the eldest or the only, right? Being first gen, being undocumented. Like when we talk about right healing, generational, trauma, like it's very, very layered. Even mental health, right? It's very, very layered in terms of how it is that we can look at it and really start healing. But I love that you bring in that experience, Gabriela, in terms of like mindfulness and pausing, right? Taking time for yourself. And for everyone, it's going to look different, right? What it is that's going to bring you strength and courage. I also love that people are already sharing how they are, breaking the cycle or taking care of their mental health. And I invite you to continue sharing how it is that you are currently taking care of your health and how you are, breaking that cycle. So thank you, Gabriela, for sharing that
Of
insight.
course.
And if you like here, you can we can expand more on some of those things that you already mentioned, right? Going to therapy, counseling.
I definitely promote open conversations to folks. As an HR director, folks don't always open that door, but I always tell them and express to them, if your employer doesn't, there should be an EAP program, an employee assistance program, maybe, or through your insurance. You can also avail yourselves through promoting these types of conversations, seeking out therapy, advocating for cultural, competent mental health resources and supported services, definitely. Also identifying and unlearning dysfunctional family patterns. I learned that pattern for being the one that started to speak English first, right?
Yeah.
Having to take that on,
Yes.
having to do all of that first, right? And I don't think that at that time I understood it. I just took it on. And it did transcend until now my 40s that I now understand that.
Yeah.
And since an early age, I stopped pouring into my cup. But I just went with it. And so it wasn't till after having children, after my first master's degree, that I started to really start feeling like, when a balloon starts kind of deflating. And I
Mm,
was like, I'm not floating the way I used to float. I'm not myself. And, it is challenging, especially in our culture. And so encouraging self-expression and self-compassion for yourselves is incredible. I journal. I don't know
mm,
if that's helpful to other folks, but I always try to journal the positive so that I can continue thinking that way, because we can get trapped into the oh, I didn't get this done. Oh, I should have gotten this. No, I always just say this is what I got done and I move on to the next day.
yeah. Yeah.
As well as, using storytelling, sharing your stories with folks or in a group that allows you to do that, engaging in healthy self-care practices, asking for help when you need it, and
Mm,
definitely healing in community and connecting with others. And pursuing higher education and leadership positions is incredible. Um, I definitely started reading a lot of mindfulness books to
mhm.
help me be in the moment, because we innately will go into, okay, I'm taking care of this, but oh, I also have to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Instead of really capturing what we're doing, we're in the motions.
Mhm.
And having to stop and pause really does help. Even when in conversations, if you guys have a moment, just when you're having a conversation with someone and giving yourself 3 seconds to respond, you'll see that the conversation it is more fruitful. At least that's what I've discovered. Maybe it's the industry I work in, or the title, but as a human resources director, it does help me really capture what someone is trying to tell me, so
Mhm.
I'm not already professionally giving them my response.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. And if I just, may add, I know we're kind of going through like a lot of different things, right? So please, if anyone, there were some questions in the chat, so we'll be able to reference them, shortly. But knowing that when we talk about, right, these ways of like healing or like breaking, right, like we each have to find what works for us, right? We have to, what I call, create like a recipe of what you feel what may work for me may not work for Gabriela, right? So that you have the authority and the ability, right, to create your own self-care, your own coping strategies. Someone in the chat did ask about being selfish. I think on here we did put, I don't know if it's on here, but that is something in terms of like when you practice self-care, right? Part of it is being selfish, right? And meaning prioritizing your own happiness, right? And so the way that you start is asking yourself, like, what brings me joy? Right? What's going to bring me happiness? What's going to soothe me? What's going to calm me? Sometimes as adults, we may not know exactly what that is. And sometimes we may want to also channel like our inner child, right? Like what did my little Norma self enjoy doing, right? What does play look like? What are some, past hobbies or interests that I like that maybe if I tap into it, right, are going to, bring me that same joy and that feeling. So really starting with yourself in terms of like, okay, what's going to bring me joy? And if you don't know what it is, like it's exploration, right? Trying things, try and see what's going to work. The way I think of self-care is it's actually broken into different areas. It's physical, emotional, spiritual, personal, professional, psychological, social, financial, right? Those are different areas of ourselves, right, that we need to nurture and take care of. And at the same time as we're doing that, right, acknowledging, right, um, our pride, our culture pride, acknowledging that our culture itself, right, being Latinas, having the extended family unit, right, our cultural values are also our strengths, are also our sense of resiliency. So being able to also tap into that, especially when we think of like traditions, right, or things that we share, together as a community. Um,
I just want to interject and say that those, you know, I guess what you're trying to say is you would set boundaries, and
Mhm.
I think that's not. It could appear selfish for others, but once you start setting those boundaries, to just top off what Norma is saying, literally, you start. What is going to make you happy? What brings you joy? And setting those boundaries that way also helps.
Absolutely. And boundaries is a whole another like topic, right? But boundaries is a way to protect your energy, to protect yourself, right? To protect what you value. And it's one of the best ways to be able to then prioritize yourself. Um, Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Gabriela. And please, anyone else want to share their thoughts? How are they? What are they doing that is helping them? What is something on here that resonated with you? So let me just look over the chat. All right. Yes, create some boundaries. Yes. And even with boundaries, there's different types of boundaries. There's so much that can be talked about in terms of like mental health, breaking the cycle, generational trauma. Like it's very, very layered. Today was meant to be just like an introductory kind of look at the bigger picture and think about, as of today, right? What is something that you can do for yourself today? Right? What is something that you can do for yourself tomorrow? And it could be something small, right? It doesn't have to be anything like major or anything that requires a lot of time and energy. Um, All right. So someone in the chat wrote, yeah, you can just talk on you can talk on the chat. I wish I can you guys, like in Zoom, you guys can come on and like share. But in this platform is only through chat. So yes, please use a chat to share any questions or comments that you may have, connecting with other people and sharing our stories. Pursuing higher education has been an outlet, absolutely. And also, thinking about sometimes we're the first to do things, right? The first to go to therapy, the first to go to college, the first to pursue higher education, the first to get a master's, right? And so that in itself adds stress and responsibility, right? And so just acknowledging that is part of our healing as well. And that's where the boundaries come in terms of like, okay, like now, right, what do I want to create for myself? What are going to be my boundaries? Maybe back then I allowed X, Y, and Z to happen, but now I don't want that to happen anymore, and I'm going to make some changes. Awesome. All righty. So I think we're coming near the end. If anyone has any, additional questions or comments that they want to share, we just wanted to end with you all with this, with this quote. Juntas somos más fuertes, unidas por nuestra cultura, nuestras historias y nuestro poder, podemos sanar, crecer y prosperar juntas. Together, we are stronger, united by our culture, our stories, and our power. We can heal, grow, and thrive together. Wow. Right? So that you are not alone, right? We're in this together, right? And together we can heal and grow. And here, just to leave you a few like mental health resources in case you are looking for a therapist, or if you want more information in terms of like mental health. There's so many different ways to raise awareness beyond just having conversations, talking about it. You can also volunteer, you can advocate, you can be part of organizations to be able to continue like promoting. And then we also did provide you, in case anyone needs any immediate support. There is this crisis line. It used to be called National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It kind of operates like a 911 number, but now they shortened it and now it's considered 988. So if it is that you are experiencing a mental health crisis or situation, that number serves as a hotline 24/7, whether it is for yourself or you share it, with anyone else who may need it. And I think that's it. We can we'll stay on for a few minutes if anyone has any other questions. Just I also wanted to share again that we will be having these weekly series on like mental health. They're going to be every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Look at the Latina Professionals page, as they will promote the event for that week. I mentioned earlier that it's going to be topics related to like anxiety, reauthorizing your story, motherhood. And if there's anything that you want us to bring up in terms of another presentation, please let us know. Gabriela, not sure if you had any final thoughts.
The same thing I will reiterate. Pour into yourself first, set those positive boundaries, and everyone's story is different. So I hope some of you start pouring back into your cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so if there are any other questions, please put those in the chat. I'm very excited about this topic. It's very seldomly spoken about, and so thank you for allowing me to share a piece of me with you all and your time.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us, Gabriela, and thank you all for taking your time to be here to share this space. You guys, I love that you guys are interacting and engaging and learning. And even if this is information you already knew, right, to get that reminder to, sometimes we need that reminder of like, oh my gosh, like I do need to take care of myself more. I do need to pour my cup, or I do need to set that boundary. So I hope that you all, take this information and use it for yourself, but also share it with others that may need it. Again, mental health matters, and it starts with us, right? It starts with us in terms of, breaking those cycles. Unfortunately, we can't do that for other people, right? And sometimes our family stays stuck in that. And all we can do is just, be there, support them, extend our support and our offerings. But it really starts with us. So thank you all for being here. Enjoy your day. Again, happy Mother's Day. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so please continue to have conversations about this. If you have any questions, you guys can find us through Latina Professionals. I can also leave my information if you want on the chat. Gabriela, maybe you can do that as well in case any of you wants to reach out to one of us. I myself, I do provide mental health therapy in the state of California. So if you do live in California and you're looking for a therapist or need help connecting to a therapist, reach out to me and I can help you with that process. If you're not in California, I do offer life coaching support as well that can help you navigate in whatever area you are having difficulty with. Gabriela, also as Latina Professionals, member, is here to be of support as well. So thank you all for being here. Nos miramos hasta la próxima.